Rain trickled down her face, mixing with the dust clinging to her skin. Emily Carter stood motionless in the middle of the obstacle course, her uniform soaked, her arms trembling from exhaustion. Around her, a dozen recruits snickered, veterans of arrogance, men who believed she didn't belong here. She'd fallen twice on the rope climb already. The mud below her boots was thick, and so were the whispers cutting through the air like blades. "Should have stayed home, sweetheart. Go back to your desk job." Emily lowered her eyes for a second, not out of shame, but to gather herself. Her palms bled from the coarse rope, her lungs burned, yet deep inside, a small fire refused to die. She wasn't here to prove them wrong. She was here to prove herself right. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you were rewatching from. I love knowing who is listening. By the second week, the laughter had become part of the background noise, like the clinking of boots on gravel, or the barked orders echoing across the training field. Emily learned to move through it. Every morning before dawn, she was the first on the field, stretching under the dim floodlights while others still blinked away sleep. She failed her timed run twice, her push-ups once, but she never quit. Sergeant Hale, a weathered man with eyes like flint, watched her closely. "You've got heart," he told her once. "But heart alone doesn't win wars." Emily met his stare and replied quietly, "Maybe not, sir, but it's a start." The others called her the librarian, mocking her calm demeanor and her habit of reading during breaks. They didn't know she'd spent 3 years as a combat medic in Afghanistan, patching up the very soldiers who now ridiculed her. The paperwork that followed her home had hidden the scars, but not the memories. She'd seen men break under fear, pride, and loss. That's why she came here, to rebuild something inside herself that war had taken. Then came the endurance test, the mountain march. 20 miles with a 60-pound pack, up jagged trails that clawed at ankles and lungs alike. It was the one test everyone dreaded, the one that separated dreamers from soldiers. At mile 5, Emily's ankle twisted on loose rock. She fell hard, biting back a scream as pain shot up her leg. The group moved past her, not one slowing down. For a moment, she thought about quitting. The cold rain, the ache, the humiliation, it all pressed down like a weight she couldn't lift. But then she heard a voice in her mind, her father's. "Courage isn't loud, Emily. It's quiet." It whispers, "Try again." She got up. One step, then another. She dragged herself up that mountain, breath by breath, mile by mile. When the others reached the summit, laughing and throwing their packs down, they saw her silhouette below, limping, covered in mud, still climbing. A hush fell. Oh, no one laughed this time. When she reached the top, Sergeant Hale stood waiting. His eyes scanned her torn uniform, the blood seeping through her boot. "Carter," he said gruffly, "why didn't you stop?" She looked up, chest heaving. "'Cause pain means I'm still alive, sir. And if I'm alive, I move." The next morning, during combat drills, everything changed. Hale paired her with Corporal Mason, one of her loudest critics. "Show me what you've got, librarian," he smirked. The whistle blew. Mason charged, confident and fast. But Emily didn't fight with brute strength. She fought with precision. Every motion was measured, deliberate. When Mason lunged, she sidestepped, used his momentum, and in a heartbeat he was on the ground, staring up at her in disbelief. A ripple of surprise spread through the group. The same men who had laughed days ago now stood silent, watching her extend a hand to help him up. Mason hesitated, then took it. From that day something shifted. The laughter faded. Respect, quiet, earned, and real, began to take its place. But Emily's biggest test wasn't physical. It came a week later, during the final evaluation. A live simulation rescue in storm conditions. The recruits had to retrieve a downed pilot dummy from a flooded ravine. Ropes, mudslides, the roar of water, it was chaos. Halfway through, Mason slipped and was swept downstream, his shouts barely audible over the rain. Without hesitation, Emily dove after him. The current was fierce, icy, relentless. She reached him just as he went under, grabbing his gear and pulling with every ounce of strength she had left. The others froze for a second, stunned, before following her lead. Together they hauled him out, coughing and shivering. Sergeant Hale's voice broke through the storm. "You just saved your teammate, Carter." That's what leadership looks like. Later, when the sun broke through the clouds, The recruits gathered around her, no laughter, no mockery, just nods of respect. Mason approached quietly. Guess the librarian knew how to fight after all. Emily smiled faintly. Guess we both learned something. That evening, the training camp fell into rare silence. Holly watched her from a distance, a faint grin tugging at the corner of his mouth. He'd seen hundreds of recruits, but few like her. Because Emily Carter hadn't come to win, she'd come to rise. Because strength isn't about never falling, it's about refusing to stay down. And somewhere beneath the same sky where she'd once stumbled, the echoes of laughter had turned into applause. If this story moved you, leave a comment below. Tell me what part hit you hardest. And if you believe in the quiet kind of courage that Emily showed, make sure to subscribe to Whispered Words for more stories that remind us what resilience truly looks like.